You need to leave that spot.
I am sitting in my assigned seat.
This is first class. Tickets are not for everyone, like you. Could you even afford $20,000? The airline was going downhill. They let just anyone sit in first class.
Please return to your seat.
I have connections and power. I decide things here. If you continue, we will make an emergency landing and you will be removed. They should just wait and see.
He judged others only by their appearance, not knowing that the very person he had just insulted would be the one to bring him a tragic ending. Before we start the story, please like, subscribe, and let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. Mom, you need to move. This seat isn't for you. The words cut through the first-class cabin like a blade, not loud, but sharp enough to make people stop breathing for a second. A glass of champagne froze halfway to a man's lips. A woman in the aisle paused with her coat still hanging from one arm. Someone 2 rows back leaned just enough to see without being seen. At the center of it all stood Ryan Whitaker, 43, tall, controlled. The kind of man who had spent his entire life being listened to. His suit was dark, perfectly fitted. His watch caught the cabin light in small, precise flashes. Nothing about him was accidental. And right now, nothing about him was calm. Across from him, seated in Suite 1A, was Evelyn Carter, 48, still, quiet. She didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't even blink at first. She just looked at him. And that was the first thing that unsettled him. Because in Ryan's world, people reacted. They apologized. They corrected themselves quickly. They knew when they were out of place. Evelyn didn't. And that silence, it made the air heavier. You heard me, Ryan said, this time a little louder. Not enough to shout, just enough to remind the room who he was. This is first class. He gestured around them, slow, deliberate, polished wood, soft lighting, wide lesser seats that curved like private rooms. This section isn't open seating. A flight attendant standing 3 rows back hesitated mid-step. Her name tag read Lisa, early 30s. Professional smile, but right now, that smile had faded into something cautious. She had seen situations like this before. They never started loud. They started like this, controlled, polite, but with an edge that could cut deeper than shouting. Evelyn finally moved. Just slightly. She closed the folder resting on her lap. Thick paper, clean margins, numbers printed in tight columns, financial documents, not casual reading. She placed her hand on top of it. Fingers relaxed, no tension. Then she looked up at him again. I'm exactly where I need to be, she said. Her voice was low, even. Calm in a way that didn't try to prove anything. Ryan let out a short laugh, no humor in it. No, he said, shaking his head. You are not. He stepped closer. Not aggressively, not yet, but close enough to make it clear that this was no longer a casual exchange. Economy is in the back. Premium economy, if you're lucky. A man in seat 3A shifted in his seat. He leaned slightly toward his wife and whispered,
Is this really happening?
She didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on Evelyn. Because there was something about her. Something that didn't match the situation. Most people, when confronted like this, show something. Embarrassment, anger, defensiveness. Evelyn showed none of it. Just stillness. The kind of stillness that made people uncomfortable. Ryan noticed it too, and it irritated him more than if she had argued back. This cabin, he continued, voice tightening, cost more than most people make in a month. The number hung there without being said. Everyone in that space understood it. Money, status, belonging. 3 things Ryan believed were the same. Evelyn adjusted the sleeve of her cream sweater. No logo, no visible brand. Just fabric that moved quietly with her. I'm aware, she said.
That was it.
No explanation, no apology, just awareness. Ryan felt something rise in his chest. Not anger yet, something sharper, disrespect, dismissal. He wasn't used to either. Behind him, Lisa took a slow breath. She glanced toward the galley, then back at the scene. Her training told her to step in, but timing mattered. Step in too early, and you escalate. Step in too late, and you lose control. She waited, watched. Ryan turned slightly, scanning the cabin as if expecting someone to support him. No one spoke. No one agreed. But no one stopped him either. That silence felt like permission. "Excuse me," he snapped, lifting his hands slightly in the air. Lisa moved immediately. "Yes, sir," she said, her voice careful. "Neutral." Ryan pointed toward Evelyn without looking at Lisa. "There's been a mistake." Lisa followed his gesture. For a brief second, her expression shifted. Recognition. It was subtle, gone almost instantly. "But it was there, sir," she said, choosing her words slowly. "This passenger is seated in her assigned suite." Ryan blinked. Once. Then again. "No," he said flatly. "That's not possible." "It is, sir." He let out another laugh, louder this time. A few heads turned more openly now. "Let me guess," he said, turning back to Evelyn. "Last-minute upgrade." Someone at the gate made a mistake. No response. Evelyn reached for a pair of glasses and placed them on her face. A small movement, precise, final. Like she had already decided this conversation wasn't worth continuing. And that hit him harder than any insult. "Show me your boarding pass," Ryan said. Now his voice had changed. Less controlled, more direct. Lisa stiffened slightly. "Sir, that won't be necessary." "It is necessary," he cut in. "I paid for this seat. I'm not sharing it with someone who doesn't belong here." There it was, not shouted, but clear. The word "belong" didn't stay quiet, it spread. Across the cabin, a man lowered his newspaper. A woman stopped mid-sip. Even the low hum of the engines seemed sharper. Evelyn looked up again. This time something had changed. Not anger, not hurt. Assessment. "Are you part of the flight crew?" she asked. The question landed clean. Ryan straightened. "No," he said. "I'm a paying customer." He added, almost automatically, "platinum status," as if that explained everything. Evelyn held his gaze for a moment longer, then nodded once, slow, deliberate. "Then I don't believe I need to show you anything," she said. Silence. Heavy. Ryan's jaw tightened. No one spoke to him like that, not in his office, not in his meetings, not anywhere, and certainly not here. "You're delaying this flight," he said, his voice rising again. "People have places to be, work to do. You don't just walk into a cabin like this and sit wherever you want." Lisa stepped forward slightly now. "Sir, I need you to lower your voice." "I will not," he said immediately. "Not when this is clearly a problem." "It's not a problem, sir. It is to me." Evelyn didn't look at either of them. She reached down, picked up her pen, and made a small note in the margin of her document. The sound of ink against paper was soft, but in that moment, it was louder than anything else in the cabin. Because it meant one thing: she wasn't listening anymore. And that was something Ryan Whitaker had never experienced. Not once in 43 years. He stared at her. Really stared this time. Trying to find something, a mistake, a weakness, a reason. But all he saw was control. And somewhere deep beneath his irritation, something else began to form. Small, unwelcome. A feeling he didn't recognize yet. Not fear, not doubt, not yet. But it was there, and it was growing. Ryan did not sit down. He stayed there, standing in the aisle. One hand resting on the edge of the suite divider like it belonged to him. But something had shifted. It was small, almost invisible. Yet everyone in that cabin felt it. The air was tighter now, thicker, like a room where something had been said that could not be taken back. Lisa glanced toward the front again, this time longer. Her jaw tightened just slightly. She knew this was no longer a simple seating dispute. This was turning into something else. "Sir," she said again, softer now but firmer, "I need you to return to your seat." Ryan didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on Evelyn. "You're just going to ignore this?" he asked. Evelyn didn't answer. She turned a page. Slow, clean, precise. The paper made a soft sound as it shifted. That sound echoed louder than it should have. Ryan exhaled sharply through his nose. "You think you can just sit there," he continued, voice lower now, more control but colder, "and pretend none of this matters. Still nothing. No eye contact, no reaction. Just the quiet rhythm of someone working." Across the aisle, a man in his 60s leaned back in his seat. He folded his arms and watched openly now. "This isn't about the seat anymore," he muttered to his wife. She nodded once. "No," she whispered back. "It's about control." Ryan heard it, not the words exactly. but the tone, the judgment, and that made something inside him tighten. He turned slightly, scanning the cabin again. No one was on his side, not openly. A few people avoided eye contact. Others watched him carefully, like they were measuring something. Lisa stepped closer now, not aggressive, but closer. Mr. Whitaker, she said, using his name this time, this conversation is over. That word landed. Over. Ryan let out a short laugh. No, he said, it's not over, not until this is fixed. It is fixed. It's not fixed for me. Lisa held his gaze. Her voice didn't rise. It dropped. Sir, you are disrupting the cabin. A pause. Then quieter. If this continues, I will have to escalate. Ryan turned toward her slowly. You go ahead, he said.
Call whoever you need to call.
He leaned slightly closer. I know people at corporate. Lisa didn't react. Not even a blink. I'm sure you do, she said. Then she stepped back and turned. That was the moment. The line had been crossed. She walked toward the front of the cabin, her pace measured but quick enough to show urgency. A few passengers exchanged looks. The man in seat 3A leaned forward again. Now it's happening, he whispered. His wife exhaled slowly. He should have stopped. Ryan watched Lisa go. For a second, something flickered in his expression. Doubt, but it disappeared just as quickly. He straightened his jacket, rolled his shoulders back, reset. Control. That was what he understood. That was what had always worked. He turned back to Evelyn. You've caused enough disruption, he said. This time his voice was quieter, more dangerous. Evelyn finally looked up, not quickly, not sharply, just up. Her eyes met his and held. You're still standing here, she said. Simple.
Direct.
Ryan blinked. I'm trying to resolve this. No, she replied. You're trying to win something. That hit harder than anything else. Ryan's jaw tightened. I don't need to win, he said. I just expect standards. Standards, she repeated. A pause. Then softer, or control. The cabin went still again. A man in the back shifted in his seat. Someone's glass touched the table with a faint clink. Ryan took a step closer. You don't know anything about me, he said. Evelyn didn't move. You're right, she said. I don't. Another pause, but I've seen enough. Ryan let out a breath. Short, sharp. You think you figured me out? I think, she said, you've made it very clear who you are. Silence. Not the quiet kind, the heavy kind, the kind that presses on your chest. Ryan opened his mouth, then stopped. For a fraction of a second, he had nothing. No immediate response. No control. And that scared him more than he would ever admit. From the front of the cabin, footsteps, measured, firm, approaching, heads turned. Lisa was coming back, but she wasn't alone. Behind her walked a man in his mid-40s, solid build, calm face, no rush in his step, but no hesitation either. Daniel Brooks, lead purser. He didn't speak right away. He took in the scene first, the positioning, Ryan standing, Evelyn seated, the attention of the entire cabin, the tension. Then he stepped forward. Sir, he said. His voice was not loud, but it carried, clean, controlled. Final. Ryan turned. This better be good, he said. Daniel didn't react to the tone. I need you to return to your seat, he said. Ryan crossed his arms. I'm not moving until this is handled. It has been handled, not correctly. Daniel held his gaze. A beat passed, then another. Sir, he said, this is your final instruction. The word final landed differently this time. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Ryan felt it. That shift. Authority. Real authority. Not the kind built on money or status. The kind backed by rules, by law, by consequence. You can't tell me where to stand, Ryan said. Daniel didn't blink. Yes, he said, I can. A pause, then precise. You are interfering with another passenger's space. That is a violation of federal aviation regulations. The words were calm, but they carry weight. Legal weight. Ryan scoffed. Don't start quoting regulations at me. I'm not quoting, Daniel replied. I'm informing. Another pause, tighter this time. You need to return to your seat now. There it was, now. No room left. Ryan looked around again. This time he saw it clearly. No support, no agreement. Just eyes watching, waiting, measuring. He glanced at Evelyn. She had already looked away, back to her document, back to her work. Like he wasn't even there. That did it. Something snapped, not loud, not explosive, but deep. You're making a mistake, he said. Daniel didn't respond. Ryan took a step back. Then another. Slow, controlled. But it wasn't control anymore. It was retreat. He turned, walked back to his seat, dropped into it harder than necessary. The seat absorbed the impact. Silent, perfect, like nothing had happened. But everything had. The cabin didn't relax. Not fully. The tension didn't disappear. It settled, lower, heavier. Ryan reached for the bottle of champagne on his table. Poured, too fast. The liquid rose too high. Spilled slightly over the rim. He didn't notice. He took a long drink, then another. Across the aisle, Evelyn made another note. Small, precise. Her pen paused, just for a moment, then continued, because from where she sat, this wasn't over, not even close. And somewhere beneath the quiet hum of the engines, the real consequences had already begun. The engines grew louder. A low, steady vibration moved through the floor, into the seats, into the bones of everyone on board. The aircraft began to push back from the gate, slow at first, then with purpose. Ryan leaned back in his seat, jaw tight, fingers wrapped around the stem of his glass. He didn't look across the aisle, not immediately, but he could feel her there, still, unmoved, untouched by everything that had just happened. That was what stayed with him, not the argument. Not the crew stepping in, not even the silence of the cabin. It was her indifference. Like he didn't matter, like none of this mattered. He took another drink, longer this time. The alcohol burned on the way down, didn't calm him, just sharpened something. Across the aisle, Evelyn closed her folder, carefully, aligned the edges, placed it beside her laptop, every movement measured, every motion clean, no wasted energy. Lisa passed through the aisle with a tray. Her steps were smooth again, professional, controlled, but her eyes flicked once toward Evelyn, then back ahead. A small check, a silent question. Evelyn gave the slightest nod, almost nothing, but enough. Lisa moved on. The cabin lights dimmed slightly. A soft glow settled over polished surfaces. Outside the window, the airport lights blurred into lines as the plane turned toward the runway. A voice came over the intercom, calm, routine. Ladies and gentlemen, please ensure your seatbelts are fastened. Ryan didn't hear most of it. His mind was somewhere else, replaying, reconstructing, trying to find the moment where this had shifted out of his control, because it had. He could feel it, and he didn't like it, not one bit. He turned his head slightly, just enough. Evelyn had already opened her laptop. The screen lit her face in a soft, cool glow. Rows of numbers, charts, documents, not casual work, serious work, the kind that required focus, the kind that carried weight. Her fingers moved across the keyboard, steady, unhurried, like time didn't matter, like nothing around her mattered. Ryan felt that irritation again, stronger now, a need to break it, to force a reaction. He reached for his phone, unlocked it, scrolled, stopped, then dialed. The call connected quickly. Mark, he said. His voice carried, not loud, but deliberate. People heard it. They always did. Yeah, I'm on the plane. A man 2 rows back shifted in his seat. A woman across the aisle lowered her eyes to her lap. No one wanted to be part of this, but no one could ignore it either. I need you to look into something, Ryan continued. His tone changed, sharper, colder. This airline is slipping. Evelyn's fingers paused.
Just for a fraction of a second.
Then continued. Ryan leaned back slightly, one arm resting across the seat, like he owned the space again. I'm sitting in first class, he said. And it's a mess. The word hung. Mess. He let out a short laugh. No standards anymore. A pause, then quieter, more pointed. They're letting people sit up here who clearly don't belong. The words spread, slow, heavy. A man in seat 4A adjusted his posture, crossed his arms tighter. Lisa near the galley stopped mid-step. Her eyes flicked toward Ryan, then toward Evelyn, then back again. Evelyn didn't look up, but her hands had stopped, resting lightly on the keyboard. Still, listening, Ryan continued. I don't care who bought him out, he said. Some investment group, right? He swirled the champagne in his glass, watched the bubbles rise, probably trying to push some new image without understanding what luxury actually means. The tone shifted, subtle, but there, sharper, more dangerous. A woman near the window closed her eyes briefly, not in sleep, in discomfort, because now this wasn't just about a seat. Evelyn slowly lifted her gaze. Not fast, not reactive, measured. She looked at him directly. Ryan didn't notice at first. He was still talking. "I'm telling you, this is brand erosion," he said. Real time. Now he felt it. That shift, the air, the weight. He turned and saw her looking at him. For a moment, everything paused. His voice, his movement, even his breathing. He ended the call, abrupt, dropped the phone onto the table. The sound was louder than it should have been. "You," he said, one word, sharp. Evelyn didn't respond, not immediately. She closed her laptop, slow, deliberate, placed it beside her, removed her glasses, set them down carefully, then turned, fully facing him. The cabin went quiet again, not polite quiet. Heavy quiet, the kind that builds before something breaks. Ryan stood up, again, stepped into the aisle, slower this time, more controlled. But the tension was there, clear. "You have any idea what you're doing?" he asked. Evelyn tilted her head slightly. "Working," she said. Simple, direct. A man in the back let out a quiet breath, almost a sigh. Ryan gave a small, humorless smile. "Don't play games," he said. "You've already caused enough disruption." "I haven't moved," she replied. That stopped him, just for a second. Then he stepped closer. "You don't have to move to be a problem," he said. "You just have to be where you shouldn't be." There it was again, that line, drawn, reinforced. Evelyn studied him. Not emotionally, not defensively. Precisely. "You've said that several times," she said, "but you haven't explained why." Ryan blinked. "Caught. Because it's obvious," he said. "To you," she replied. A pause. Tight, uncomfortable. Ryan felt it again. That irritation, that loss of footing. "You don't fit," he said finally, quieter but heavier. The words landed, clear. Across the aisle, someone shifted in their seat. Another passenger looked away completely, because now it was out in the open. No more layers, no more pretending. Evelyn nodded slightly. "And you believe you do?" she asked. "I know I do," Ryan said, no hesitation, no doubt. Evelyn held his gaze, steady, unblinking. "And you believe I don't?" It wasn't a question, it was a statement. Ryan didn't answer. He didn't need to. Everything he had said already answered it. Evelyn exhaled softly, not tired, not defeated, just acknowledging. "I see," she said, and something shifted, not in her posture, not in her tone, in the space around her, a subtle tightening, a recalibration. Ryan felt it, didn't understand it, but felt it. From the front of the cabin, movement again. Daniel had returned. He didn't rush. He didn't hesitate. He simply stepped into the space between them. "Sir," he said, that word again. Controlled, final. Ryan didn't look at him right away. His eyes stayed on Evelyn, locked, trying to force something, anything, but she gave him nothing. The same calm, the same control. Ryan exhaled sharply, then stepped back, slow, reluctant. He turned, walked back to his seat, dropped into it, hard. The seat adjusted beneath him, silent, perfect, but he wasn't. His chest rose and fell faster than he realized. His fingers tapped once, twice, then stopped. Across the aisle, Evelyn reopened her laptop. The screen lit up again. Work resumed, just like that, as if none of it mattered. Ryan looked at her, longer this time, really looking, not at the clothes, not at the seat, at her stillness, her control, her complete lack of concern. And for the first time, a thought surfaced, small, unwelcome. What if he was wrong? He pushed it away immediately. No, that wasn't it. He knew what he was seeing. He always did. He leaned back, forced his shoulders to relax, reached for the glass again. But his hand paused, midair. Something didn't align, didn't fit. Outside, the plane lifted. The ground fell away, city lights shrinking below. Inside, the tension didn't disappear. It changed, from loud to quiet, from visible to waiting. And somewhere beneath it all, the outcome was you already moving, already forming. Ryan just couldn't see it yet. The seatbelt sign chimed off with a soft click, a small sound, but it broke the last layer of stillness in the cabin. People shifted in their seats, adjusted blankets, reached for drinks, tried to return to normal, but nothing felt normal. Not anymore. Ryan didn't move right away. He sat there, staring ahead, jaw tight, fingers resting against the armrest like he was holding something in place. Across the aisle, Evelyn was already working again. Her screen glowed faintly. Her face calm, focused, unbothered, like the last 20 minutes had not happened. That was what stayed with him. Not the argument, not the warning, not even the looks from the other passengers. It was that she had already moved on, like he was irrelevant. Ryan exhaled slowly, then reached for the call button, a soft chime. Lisa appeared within seconds, professional, composed. But her eyes were sharper now. "Yes, Mr. Whitaker," she said. "Champagne," he replied. "The best you have." A pause. Then, without looking at her, "And leave the bottle." Lisa hesitated. "Just for a fraction of a second. I'll see what I can do, sir." She turned, walked away. Ryan leaned back, closed his eyes briefly, not to rest, to reset. But the silence didn't help. It made things louder. The hum of the engines, the faint clink of glass, the soft tapping of Evelyn's keyboard, each sound pressed in, closer, tighter. Across the aisle, Evelyn paused. Her fingers hovered over the keys, then continued, steady, uninterrupted, like a metronome. Ryan opened his eyes again, watched her, really watched her this time. Not the clothes, not the bag, not the absence of status signals. Her, the way she moved, the way she didn't react, the way nothing about her seemed uncertain. That didn't fit. It didn't fit his pattern, and Ryan Whitaker trusted patterns. Patterns had built his career. Patterns had made him right more times than he could count. People who belonged in places like this behaved a certain way. They signaled it, they showed it, they made it known. Evelyn didn't, and that made him uncomfortable in a way he couldn't explain. Lisa returned, bottle in hand, crystal flute beside it. She placed them carefully on his table. "Dom Perignon," she said quietly. Ryan nodded, didn't thank her, didn't look at her. "Leave it," he said. She did. But before she stepped away, her eyes flicked once toward Evelyn. Then back, a check, again. Evelyn didn't look up, but she was aware. Always aware. Ryan poured the champagne himself, too quickly. The liquid rose fast, foam gathering at the rim. He didn't slow down, didn't adjust. He filled the glass nearly to the top. Took a long sip, then another. The alcohol hit faster now, loosening something. Not enough to calm him, just enough to lower the barrier. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Glass in hand, eyes fixed across the aisle. "You work like that all the time?" he said. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried. Evelyn didn't respond. Not immediately. She finished typing a line. Saved the document, closed one window, opened another. Then, without looking at him, yes, one word, flat. Ryan let out a quiet laugh. "Must be nice," he said. "No distractions." Evelyn stopped, this time longer, then slowly looked up. "There are always distractions," she said. Her tone hadn't changed. Still calm, still even. Ryan tilted his head slightly. "Doesn't seem like it." A pause, then more pointed. Most people would react it by now. Evelyn studied him. Not emotionally, not defensively, just studying. "I don't react to everything," she said. Ryan leaned back slightly, swirled the champagne in his glass. "You should," he said. "Sometimes silence looks like weakness." That landed, not loudly, but clearly. A man in the row behind shifted in his seat. The woman beside him exhaled slowly, because now it wasn't just tension. It was a test. Evelyn held Ryan's gaze, steady, unblinking. And sometimes, she said, noise looks like insecurity. Silence, immediate, heavy. Ryan's grip tightened around the glass, just slightly. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You think that's what this is?" "I think," she said, "you're trying very hard to prove something." Ryan leaned forward again, closer this time. "And you're not?" "No, simple, direct, final." That answer didn't leave room, didn't invite debate. Ryan felt it, that edge, that control, and it bothered him more than anything else she had said. He sat back, took another drink, finished the glass this time. Set it down harder than necessary. The bass hit the table with a dull sound. Across the aisle, Evelyn had already looked away, back to her screen, back to her work. Like the moment had already passed, like he hadn't mattered. Ryan reached for the bottle again, poured, slower this time, more controlled, but his hand wasn't as steady as before. A small ripple formed at the surface of the glass, barely noticeable, but there. He watched it for a second, then looked up again. You know, he said, voice lower now, quieter but sharper. People pay a lot of money to be here. Evelyn didn't look up. I'm aware, he continued. They expect a certain environment. Still nothing. A certain level of service. Evelyn typed another line, paused, then spoke. They should get it. Ryan leaned forward, eyes narrowing slightly. And you think this is it? Evelyn stopped typing, closed the laptop halfway, not fully, just enough. Then looked at him again. I think, she said, respect is part of that environment. The word sat there. Respect. Ryan scoffed. That goes both ways. Evelyn didn't respond immediately. She let the silence sit, let it stretch. Then, quietly, does it? 2 words. Soft. But they landed harder than anything else. Ryan stared at her. For a moment, something flickered again. That same thing from before. That small, unwelcome thought. He pushed it down hard. No, he said. It goes to people who earn it. Evelyn tilted her head slightly. And you decide that? Ryan didn't hesitate. Yes. Another pause, longer this time. Evelyn nodded once, slow, deliberate. I see. And again, something shifted, not visible, not obvious, but real. Ryan felt it. Didn't understand it, but felt it. From the galley, Daniel watched. Not directly, but enough. He had seen this before, not the exact situation. But the pattern, power, assumption, escalation, and then consequence. He exhaled slowly, turned slightly toward Lisa. Keep an eye on it, he said quietly. Lisa nodded, already doing exactly that. Back in his seat, Ryan leaned back again, glass in hand, eyes forward. But his focus wasn't on the cabin, it was on her, still, calm, unmoved. And somewhere deep beneath the surface, something was building. Not loud, not fast, but steady, like pressure, like something waiting. And Ryan Whitaker still thought he was in control. The cabin lights dimmed a little more, not dark, just enough to soften edges, to make everything feel quieter than it really was. Dinner service had begun. Trays moved through the aisle. Silverware touched porcelain with soft, controlled sounds. Voices stayed low, measured, like everyone was trying to pretend the tension had passed, but it hadn't. It had changed shape. Ryan sat back, one hand wrapped around his glass, the other resting against his thigh. He hadn't touched the food placed in front of him, didn't even look at it. His eyes drifted across the aisle again. Evelyn had her laptop open, again, working, still working, like the entire cabin was just background noise. That stayed with him, longer than it should have. He picked up his glass, finished it, poured again, this time slower, more deliberate. The liquid rose in a clean line, no spill, control. He needed that. He leaned forward slightly, watched her fingers move, steady, precise, no hesitation. People who were unsure hesitated. They paused, they corrected. She didn't. That didn't fit. It didn't fit his model. And when something didn't fit, Ryan Whitaker pushed harder. He reached for his phone again, unlocked it, scrolled, stopped, then dialed. The call connected after one ring. Jason, he said. His voice carried again, not loud, but intentional. Everything he did was intentional. I need you to listen carefully. A man across the aisle shifted. A woman near the window lowered her fork. No one looked directly, but everyone heard. I'm on Meridian Airways right now, Ryan continued. First class, a pause, then a quiet, humorless laugh, and it's a disaster. Evelyn's hands slowed. Just slightly, then continued. Ryan leaned back, let his voice stretch across the space. They've lost control, he said. No standards, no filtering. The words landed heavier now, sharper. Lisa, near the galley, froze again, just for a second, then kept moving, professional. But her attention was no longer on the service, it was on him. I'm telling you, Ryan went on, if this is the direction they're going, we should pull out. A pause, then more pointed, immediately. Across the aisle, Evelyn stopped typing. Her hands rested on the keyboard, still, listening. Ryan didn't look at her, not yet. I don't care who owns them now, he said. Some investment group, some silent partner. Doesn't matter. He swirled the champagne again, watched the bubbles. They don't understand what they're doing. Another pause, then the line, the one that changed the air. They're letting people in here who clearly don't belong. Silence, immediate, heavy. A man in the back shifted uncomfortably. A woman set her glass down slowly. No one spoke. But something had crossed the line. Ryan continued. Didn't stop. Didn't adjust. I'm sitting across from it right now, he said. Looks like she walked in off a public bus. The words hung, ugly, clear, unfiltered. Lisa stopped completely this time. Her eyes went straight to Evelyn, then to Daniel. Daniel had already heard. He didn't move, but something in his posture changed. Slightly. Enough. Across the aisle, Evelyn slowly lifted her gaze. Not fast, not reactive. Measured. She looked at Ryan. Directly, Ryan felt it. That shift again, that pressure. He ended the call. Abrupt. Dropped the phone onto the table, then leaned forward. You, he said. One word. Heavy. The cabin went still. Again, Evelyn didn't answer immediately. She closed her laptop, slow. Precise. Aligned the edges, placed it beside her, then removed her glasses, set them down, carefully, every movement controlled, every motion deliberate. Then she turned, fully, facing him. The engine hum faded into the background, or maybe it just felt that way, because all attention was here now. Ryan stood, again, this time slower, more deliberate. He stepped into the aisle, closed the distance, not rushed, but intentional. You think you can just sit there, he said, voice low now, sharper, and pretend this doesn't matter? Evelyn held his gaze. I think, she said, you've said enough. That stopped him, just for a second. Then he stepped closer. You don't get to decide that. No, she said, but you already did. A pause. Tight. Ryan felt it, that shift again, that loss of footing. You're in the wrong place, he said, quieter now, but heavier. Am I, she replied. Not a question.
A mirror.
Ryan's jaw tightened. You don't fit, he said. There it was again. Clear, unfiltered, final. Across the aisle, someone let out a slow breath. Another passenger looked down completely. Because now there was no pretending. Evelyn nodded once, slow, deliberate. And you do, she said. Ryan didn't hesitate. Yes, no doubt, no hesitation, just certainty. Evelyn studied him, not emotionally, not defensively, just precisely. Then she spoke. You're very sure of that. Ryan leaned forward. I've earned it. A pause. Evelyn's eyes didn't leave his. And how do you measure that? She asked. Ryan blinked, just once. Results, he said. Performance, value. Evelyn nodded slightly. Money, she said. Ryan didn't correct her, didn't need to. It was all there in everything he had said. Everything he had done. Evelyn exhaled softly. Not tired, not defeated, just acknowledging. Then that's the only language you understand, she said. Ryan felt something tighten. You say that like it's a bad thing. Evelyn didn't answer immediately. She let the silence sit. Then quietly, it's a limited one. That hit. Hard, Ryan straightened, tension snapping back into place. You don't know anything about me, he said. Evelyn's expression didn't change. I know enough. Another pause. Then she added, You've shown me. Ryan opened his mouth. Stopped. For a fraction of a second, he had nothing. Again. No immediate response, no control. And this time it stayed longer. From the front of the cabin, movement. Daniel stepped forward. No rush, no hesitation. Just presence. Sir, he said. That word again. Final. Ryan didn't turn immediately. His eyes stayed on Evelyn, locked, trying to pull something out of her. A reaction, a crack, anything. But she gave him nothing. The same calm, the same control. Ryan exhaled sharply, then stepped back, slow, reluctant. He turned, walked back to his seat, dropped into it, hard. The glass on his table shook slightly. The liquid inside rippled. For a second, he watched it, then looked up again. Evelyn had already turned away, laptop open, typing again, like none of it had mattered, like he hadn't mattered. Ryan leaned back, breathing heavier than he realized. His fingers tapped once, twice, then stopped. Because something was changing, not outside, inside, small, unwelcome, but real. And he didn't know it yet, but that was the beginning of the end. The cabin settled into a strange kind of quiet, not peaceful, not comfortable, controlled, like everyone was holding something back. The clink of cutlery softened. Conversation stayed low. Even the flight attendants moved more carefully, like they were aware of every step they took. Ryan sat back in his seat, but there was no rest in him. His shoulders were tight, his breathing uneven, though he tried to hide it. He reached for the bottle again. poured, slower now, more measured. But the need behind it was different, not enjoyment. Control. He lifted the glass, paused, looked across the aisle. Evelyn was still working, still calm, unshaken, like nothing had touched her. That didn't make sense. Not to him. People reacted. They always did. Pressure created response. That was how the world worked. That was how he worked. He leaned forward slightly, watching her again. Longer this time. Really watching. Her posture didn't change. Her breathing stayed even. Her fingers moved in a steady rhythm across the keyboard. No hesitation. No tension. Nothing. It wasn't confidence. It was something else. Something deeper, and Ryan couldn't name it. That unsettled him. He took a drink, then another. The alcohol softened the edges of the moment, but it didn't quiet the feeling underneath. If anything, it brought it closer to the surface. He set the glass down, harder than he intended. The sound cut through the cabin. A few heads turned. Again, he didn't care, or at least he told himself he didn't. "You always this quiet?" he said, his voice carried. Not loud, but intentional. Evelyn didn't look up. "I speak when there's something worth saying," she replied. Simple, direct. Ryan let out a small laugh. Convenient. Evelyn stopped typing. This time she didn't continue right away. She lifted her gaze, slow, measured, and met his eyes. "You've been speaking for a while," she said. A pause. "Do you feel heard?"
That hit.
Clean. Ryan blinked just once, then leaned back. "I don't need to be heard," he said. "I need things done right." Evelyn studied him, quiet, focused. "And this," she said, "is what right looks like to you." Ryan didn't hesitate. Yes, no doubt, no pause, just certainty. Evelyn nodded once, slow, almost thoughtful. "And if you're wrong?" Ryan smiled, tight, controlled. "I'm not." The cabin didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't shift. Everyone heard it, everyone felt it, that certainty, that finality. Evelyn held his gaze, then leaned back slightly in her seat, a small movement, but deliberate. "You've probably been right a lot," she said. Ryan tilted his head, more than most. Evelyn nodded again. "I believe that." A pause, then softer. "That can be dangerous." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Only if you don't know what you're doing." Evelyn didn't respond immediately. She let the silence stretch. Let it sit between them, then spoke. "Or if you stop questioning yourself." That landed differently. Not sharp, not aggressive, but deep. Ryan felt it. That small, unwelcome pressure again. He reached for his glass, took a longer drink. Didn't look at her this time. Didn't want to, because something in what she said didn't fit. And when things didn't fit, he either fixed them or he pushed harder. He set the glass down, looked back at her. "You think that's what this is," he said. Me not questioning myself. Evelyn's expression didn't change. "I think," she said, "you stopped listening a long time ago." Ryan leaned forward. "That hit something. You don't know anything about me." "I know what you've shown me," she replied. Again, that phrase, simple, direct, unavoidable. Ryan opened his mouth, then stopped, because for a moment there was nothing. No response, no argument. Just that same pressure building underneath. From the galley, Lisa watched. Her hands rested lightly on the service cart, but her attention wasn't on the trays. It was on them. On the space between them. She had seen difficult passengers before. Loud ones, demanding ones, even aggressive ones. But this was different. This wasn't loud anymore. This was controlled, sharp, personal, and it was moving somewhere. She glanced toward Daniel. He stood near the front, still, observing, waiting. He didn't step in, not yet, because this moment had to play out. Back in his seat, Ryan shifted, adjusted his jacket, like he was resetting again, but this time the reset didn't hold. "You know what I think," he said, his voice lower now, quieter, but more pointed. "I think you got lucky." Evelyn didn't react. "I think you slipped into a place you don't understand." Still nothing. "And I think," he continued, "you're hoping no one notices." That was the line, the one he chose, the one he believed would land. Evelyn looked at him, longer this time, not just observing, measuring. Then she spoke. "I think," she said, "you've built your entire identity on being recognized." Ryan's expression tightened. "And when that doesn't happen," she continued, "you don't know what to do." Silence. Complete. A man in the back shifted in his seat. Another passenger looked away entirely, because this wasn't just tension anymore. This was exposure. Ryan felt it. That shift, that loss of ground. He stood up again, slow, controlled, but the movement carried weight. "You don't get to talk to me like that," he said. Evelyn didn't move, didn't lean back, didn't raise her voice. She just looked at him, and yet she said, "I just did." That was it. The line crossed, clear. From the front of the cabin, Daniel moved, this time faster. Still controlled, but decisive. He stepped between them, firm, present. "Sir," he said. "No softness now, no room." Ryan didn't turn immediately. His eyes stayed on Evelyn, locked, trying to pull something out of her, a reaction, a crack, anything. But she gave him nothing. The same calm, the same control. Ryan exhaled sharply, then stepped back. Again. Slower this time, but the resistance was there, clear. He turned, walked back to his seat, sat down hard. The glass on his table trembled slightly. The liquid inside rippled. Small, unstable. He stared at it for a second, then looked up again. Evelyn had already turned away, laptop open, typing again, like the moment had passed, like he had passed. Ryan leaned back, breathing heavier now. His fingers tapped once, then stopped, because something inside him was changing, not loudly, not suddenly, but steadily, like pressure building under the surface. And for the first time, Ryan Whitaker wasn't sure he understood what was happening anymore. And that was the most dangerous place he had ever been. The cabin grew quieter as the hours passed. Not because people relaxed, because they adjusted. They lowered their voices. They avoided eye contact. They moved carefully, like they were sharing space with something fragile or something dangerous. Ryan hadn't spoken for a while, not out loud, but his mind hadn't stopped. It moved fast, sharp, replaying every moment, every word, every look, and it kept coming back to the same thing. Her. Across the aisle, Evelyn Carter had not changed. Same posture, same focus, same stillness, like time didn't affect her, like pressure didn't touch her. That didn't make sense. Ryan shifted in his seat, adjusted his jacket again, then leaned forward, elbows on his knees, watching her, not casually anymore, intently, trying to understand. Her laptop screen reflected in her glasses, rows of numbers, dense text, structured notes. This wasn't casual work. This wasn't someone killing time on a flight. This was decision work, high level, important. Ryan noticed that, and it bothered him more than it should have. He reached for his glass again. Empty. He frowned slightly, then reached for the bottle. Poured. Carefully this time. The liquid rose in a clean line. No spill. He watched it, for a second longer than necessary, then took a slow sip. Across the aisle, Evelyn closed her laptop. Not abruptly, not because of him, just closed it. Then she reached for a small notebook, leather, worn, used often. She opened it, turned to a blank page, and began to write. Ryan's eyes narrowed slightly. That caught his attention. Because this was different. This wasn't typing. This was deliberate, manual, personal. Her pen moved slowly, paused, then continued, like she was choosing each word carefully. Ryan leaned slightly to the side, trying to see, not obvious, but enough. He couldn't read it, but he could feel it, that something was being recorded, not forgotten, not dismissed, documented. That feeling tightened something in his chest. He didn't like that. Didn't like the idea that this moment wasn't over. He leaned back, set the glass down, harder than necessary. The sound echoed lightly. Evelyn didn't look up, didn't react. She just kept writing. Ryan let out a slow breath. Then said quieter this time, "You keeping notes on me now?" Evelyn didn't answer immediately. She finished the line, closed the notebook halfway, then looked up. Yes, no hesitation, no apology, just truth. Ryan gave a small, sharp laugh, impressive. A pause. Then more pointed. "You always do that when someone disagrees with you?" Evelyn held his gaze. "I do it when something matters." That landed. Different. Ryan tilted his head. "And I matter now." Evelyn didn't answer right away. She studied him carefully, like she was deciding something. Then she spoke. "You're part of the situation." Not an insult, not praise, a statement. Ryan leaned back again. "Good to know," he said, but his tone had shifted. Less sharp, more uncertain, and that was new. He didn't like it. He reached for his phone again, unlocked it, scrolled, then stopped, opened his email. His fingers hovered over the screen, then started typing, fast, precise, like muscle memory, to Gregory Hale. Subject line, immediate complaint. He typed harder than necessary, each word forming before he fully thought it through. Unacceptable conduct, disruptive passenger, failure of crew control. He paused, looked up at Evelyn, still calm, still composed, still unaffected. His jaw tightened. He kept typing. I am currently on Meridian Airways, flight en route to London. The first class cabin has been compromised. His fingers didn't slow. He described everything, from the moment he boarded, to the confrontation, to the crew's response. He framed it clean, professional, controlled, like a report, like something that would carry weight. Because in his world, this worked. Pressure worked. Influence worked. He leaned back slightly, read over what he had written, then added one more line. I expect immediate action upon landing, including review of crew conduct and passenger clearance procedures. His thumb hovered just for a second, then pressed send. A small action, but it carried intention. Control, he felt it, that familiar sense, returning, piece by piece. He set the phone down, exhaled. Across the aisle, Evelyn had stopped writing. Her pen rested lightly against the page. She didn't look at him, didn't acknowledge what he had just done, but she knew. She always knew. She finished her note, closed the notebook, then reached for her phone, unlocked it, her movement slower, more deliberate, no rush, no tension. She opened a message thread, typed, short, direct, no excess, subject, flight report, passenger conduct. Her fingers moved with quiet precision, no hesitation, no emotion, just clarity. Then she paused, just briefly, then added one more line. Full review recommended. She hit send, no second look, no adjustment. Then set the phone down, folded her hands in her lap, closed her eyes, just for a moment, not tired, not overwhelmed, just finished. Across the aisle, Ryan shifted. Something didn't sit right. He didn't know what, but something. He had done what he always did, escalated, applied pressure, taken control. But the feeling didn't settle. It stayed, low, uncomfortable. He glanced at her again. She was sitting back now, eyes closed, breathing steady, calm, like she had nothing left to do. And that didn't make sense. Not to him, because when he escalated, people reacted. They pushed back. They defended. They argued. They tried to fix things. She didn't. She just stopped. Like the outcome had already been decided. Ryan's fingers tapped once against the armrest, then stopped, because for the first time, he wasn't sure what came next. And that uncertainty sat heavier than anything that had happened before. The cabin lights dimmed further as the flight moved deeper into the night. Outside, there was nothing, just darkness stretched across the window. Inside, everything felt contained, controlled, but not calm. Ryan hadn't slept, not even close. He leaned back in his seat, eyes open, staring at nothing. The champagne bottle sat half empty on the table beside him, the glass untouched now. Whatever it had given him earlier, it was gone. All that remained was the weight. That same low, steady pressure. He shifted, adjusted his posture, then looked across the aisle again. Evelyn was awake. Of course she was. She had her laptop open again. The soft glow of the screen lit her face. Calm, focused, like she had been all night, like nothing had changed. That was what stayed with him, not the argument, not the email, not even the silence that followed. It was that she had never lost control, not once. Ryan exhaled slowly. His fingers pressed lightly against the armrest, then released, then pressed again, a small rhythm, unconscious. He watched her again, longer this time, trying to find something, anything, a sign, a crack, a moment where she looked unsure. There was nothing. That didn't make sense, because people like her should have shown something by now. Fear, defensiveness, at least awareness. She showed none of it. That thought returned, stronger this time. What if he was wrong? It came quietly, but it stayed longer. He didn't push it away immediately. Not this time. He let it sit, just for a second, then two. Then he shook his head slightly. No, that wasn't it. He had seen enough in his life, built enough, won enough. He knew how to read people, He always had. He leaned forward, rested his elbows on his knees. "You don't sleep much, do you?" he said. His voice was lower now, not sharp, not aggressive, but still carrying. Evelyn didn't look up right away. She finished typing a line, saved the file, closed one window, then answered. "Not when there's work to finish." Ryan nodded slightly, almost to himself. "Important work, yes. Simple, direct. No explanation." Ryan leaned back again. "You always travel like this?" he asked, a pause, then added, "Alone?" Evelyn looked at him, this time longer. There was something different in her eyes. Not emotion, not exactly. Recognition. "I travel when I need to," she said. That didn't answer the question. It answered the part that matters. Ryan let out a small breath, almost a laugh, but not quite. He studied her again. Different now, less certain, more searching. "You don't seem surprised," he said, "by any of this." Evelyn tilted her head slightly. "I've seen versions of it before." Ryan's jaw tightened. Versions of what? She didn't answer immediately. She let the silence sit, then said quietly, "People deciding who belongs." The words landed, not loud, not sharp, but they stayed. Ryan looked away for a moment. Out the window, nothing there, just darkness. He spoke again, quieter. "You think that's what this is?" "I think," she said, "you made it clear." Ryan turned back to her, his expression tighter now, controlled. "But you stayed." "Yes. Why?" A pause. Evelyn closed her laptop. Slow, deliberate, placed it beside her, then folded her hands, looked at him fully. "Because leaving would have made you right." Silence. Immediate. Ryan blinked. That wasn't what he expected. Not at all. He leaned back slightly. "And staying proves something." "No," she said. "It reveals something." Ryan frowned. "What?" Evelyn held his gaze. That hit. Harder than anything else. Ryan felt it. That shift. That drop in his chest. He looked at her. Really looked this time. Not through assumptions. Not through patterns. Just looked. And for the first time, he didn't have a clear answer. From the back of the cabin, a voice. Soft. Uncertain. "Excuse me." Both of them glanced slightly. A man in his late 60s leaned forward from the row behind, his expression hesitant, but firm enough. "I just want to say something," he said. His wife touched his arm lightly, a silent warning. He nodded, then continued. "I've been sitting here the whole time." Ryan stiffened. The man met his eyes. "You remind me of someone I used to work with." Ryan didn't respond, didn't ask, but the man continued anyway. "Very successful," he said. Very sure of himself. A pause, then quieter. "He lost everything in 1 year." The cabin didn't move, didn't breathe. The man leaned back again, didn't explain, didn't add anything else. Just stopped. His wife squeezed his hand gently. Neither of them looked forward again. Ryan sat there. Still, the words lingered, uninvited, uncomfortable. He reached for his glass, stopped. His hand hovered for a second, then dropped back to his lap. Across the aisle, Evelyn watched him, not with judgment, not with satisfaction, just watching, and that made it worse. Because there was no fight left, no resistance, just reflection. Ryan leaned back, closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them again. The cabin felt smaller now, tighter, like the walls had moved in just slightly. He glanced around. People weren't watching openly anymore, but they were aware, always aware, and that awareness had shifted. Before, it had been curiosity. Now, it was something else. He couldn't name it, but he felt it. He looked back at Evelyn. She had turned slightly, looking forward now, not at him, not at anyone, just ahead, like she was already somewhere else, mentally, emotionally, done. That was the word, done. Ryan swallowed, harder than he expected, because for the first time, he wasn't leading the situation anymore. He wasn't controlling it. He wasn't even part of it. He was reacting, and he didn't know how to stop. Outside, the darkness remained, unchanged, endless. Inside, something had shifted. Quietly, completely, and Ryan Whitaker could feel it now. Not fully, not clearly, but enough. Enough to know this wasn't over, and whatever came next would not be in his control. The first light of morning came slowly, a thin gray line across the window, cold, flat, unforgiving. The captain's voice followed not long after, calm, routine, detached. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have begun our initial descent into London. The words moved through the cabin like everything else had. Soft, controlled. But nothing inside that space felt routine anymore. Ryan hadn't slept, not even for a minute. His eyes were open, dry, heavy. His tie was loose now, collar slightly off, small details. But they chipped away at the image he had built so carefully. Across the aisle, Evelyn was already awake. Of course she was. She closed her laptop, folded her documents, placed them neatly into her leather bag, every movement precise, no rush, no hesitation, like she had all the time in the world. Ryan watched her. He didn't hide it anymore. Didn't try, because something in him had shifted overnight. Not fully, not completely, but enough. Enough to feel the imbalance, enough to know he wasn't in control anymore. The plane dipped slightly, cutting through a layer of cloud, the window filled with gray, then broke into a muted view of the city below. Wet, ordered, distant. The seatbelt sign chimed on, passengers adjusted. Belts clicked, soft movements, normal movements. Ryan didn't move right away. His fingers rested on the armrest, still. Then he leaned forward, unbuckled, before the chime had fully settled, stood up. Too early, too fast. His carry-on came down from the overhead bin with a sharp motion. The sound cut through the quiet. Sir Lisa's voice came from her jump seat. Controlled, firm. The aircraft is still in motion. Please take your seat. Ryan didn't look at her. Save it, he said. Flat, cold. You won't need to worry about this job much longer. The words landed. Clear, final. A few passengers exchanged glances. No one spoke. Evelyn remained seated, watching. Not him, the moment. The end of something. The plane rolled, slowed, stopped. A pause. Then the door opened. Bright white light spilled into the cabin, sharp against the dim interior. Ryan moved immediately. Fast, deliberate. He stepped into the aisle, pushed forward. Past the line, past the pause. His suitcase wheels hit the floor of the jet bridge with a hard echo. He didn't stop, didn't look back. He walked like he always did. Like he owned the space ahead of him. Like he was walking into a room he would control. At the end of the jet bridge, people were waiting, not scattered, not random, placed, intentional. A man stood at the front, mid-60s. Tall, silver hair, navy suit cut perfectly. A small gold pin on his lapel caught the light. Behind him, two uniformed officers. Still, silent, watching. Two ground staff stood slightly behind, tablets in hand, expressions neutral, set. Ryan felt it immediately. That familiar surge, validation, control. They moved fast, good. That meant his message had landed. He stepped forward, dropped the handle of his suitcase, pointed back toward the aircraft. You must be the station manager, he said, voice sharp, controlled, echoing slightly in the narrow space. I'm Ryan Whitaker. A pause, then louder, platinum level. I sent an email about the situation on that flight. The man didn't move, didn't smile, didn't extend a hand. Ryan kept going. I want the purser removed immediately, he said. And there's a passenger in Suite 1A who should never have been allowed on that aircraft. His voice hardened. I want her held before she leaves this terminal. The words hung, heavy, final. The man looked at him, not as a customer, not as a priority, as something else. Mr. Whitaker, he said, his voice calm but cold. Please step aside. Ryan frowned. Excuse me, you are blocking the exit. Ryan blinked once, then stepped forward again. I don't think you understand, he said. I know Gregory Hale personally. This is going to step aside. The voice didn't rise, but it cut deeper, sharper, final. Ryan's confidence flickered. Just slightly. Behind the man, the officer shifted. Not aggressive, but enough. A signal.
Sir, one of them said.
Low, steady, step to the side. Ryan hesitated. For the first time, his eyes moved between them, the uniform, the posture, the lack of reaction to his name, to his status. Something didn't align. Something broke. He stepped back, slowly. Pressed against the side of the jet bridge, cold metal against his jacket. His heartbeat picked up. Footsteps behind him, soft, measured. Ryan turned. Evelyn walked up the jet bridge. Unhurried, unbothered, exactly the same as she had moved all night. Behind her, Daniel and Lisa followed, not leading, not guiding, just present, witnesses. Evelyn reached the front, stopped. The man in the navy suit straightened. Immediately, then lowered his head, respectful, precise. "Good morning, Miss Carter," he said. "Welcome to London." Silence. Absolute. Ryan felt it, fully this time. His chest tightened. Everything shifted. Evelyn smiled, soft, controlled. "Good morning, Arthur," she said. "I trust everything is ready." "It is," Arthur replied. He handed her a tablet. "The board is assembled. They're waiting for you." Board. The word hit. Hard. Ryan's mind moved fast. Too fast. Trying to connect, to rebuild, to understand. Evelyn turned her head. Slowly, her eyes found him. Still pressed against the wall. Smaller now. Still. "Mr. Whitaker," she said. His name sounded different. Not elevated, not respected. Defined. "You mentioned you would be contacting corporate." A pause. "Sharp. Your email was forwarded to me." Ryan swallowed. Hard. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," he said, his voice thinner now, unfamiliar. Evelyn stepped closer, not aggressive, not fast, but deliberate. "You were very clear," she said. "You saw someone you believed did not belong." Each word landed, measured. "You made assumptions. Another step. You acted on them. Closer. And you attempted to use your position to remove people doing their jobs." Ryan had nowhere to go. His back pressed harder against the wall. "I was under pressure," he said. "The flight, the deal." You were thinking," clearly, she interrupted. No emotion, just truth. Arthur stepped forward, tablet in hand. "Mr. Whitaker," he said, "effective immediately, your platinum status has been revoked." Ryan blinked, once, twice. "You are banned from Meridian Airways and all partner airlines." The words hit, physical, real. "Your return ticket has been canceled." Ryan shook his head slightly. "You can." Evelyn didn't look at him. "I can," she said. Simple, final. The officers stepped forward, hands firm, controlled. "Sir, we're going to escort you now." Ryan didn't resist. He couldn't. His body moved, but his mind stayed behind, still trying to catch up, still trying to understand how everything had shifted so completely, so fast. Evelyn turned away, already moving forward, already past him. Because for her, this was over, and for Ryan Whitaker, it had just begun. The rain in London did not fall hard. It stayed. Thin, cold, constant, like something that refused to leave. Ryan stood at the curb outside the terminal, his suitcase beside him, the handle still extended, his hand resting on it without grip. The officers had let go minutes ago. No scene, no raised voices, just a firm escort. And then nothing. He was alone. Cars passed in front of him, headlights cutting through the gray morning, tires hissing against wet pavement. People moved around him, coats pulled tight, heads down, lives continuing. No one looked at him twice. And that felt new. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone. His fingers weren't steady. He didn't notice at first. He just unlocked the screen and froze. Notifications. Stacked, dozens, then more. Missed calls, messages, emails, all layered over each other, the screen barely holding them. One name repeated. Jason, again, again, again. Ryan tapped it. The call connected almost instantly. "Jason," he said. The word barely left his mouth. "Don't." The response came fast, sharp, flat, no warmth. Ryan stopped, his breath caught halfway. "Just listen," Jason continued. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried something worse. Distance.
Do you understand what you've done?
Ryan swallowed. "There was a situation on the flight," he said, forcing his voice steady. "The crew mishandled it. There was a passenger. I don't care about your version." The interruption cut clean. "I care about reality." Silence. Then Jason spoke again.
Do you remember the other passengers?
Ryan frowned slightly.
What?
"The people sitting around you while decided to make a scene." Ryan's grip tightened on the phone. "I didn't one of them," Jason continued, voice measured, controlled, was Daniel Ross. Ryan's chest tightened. He knew that name. Chief Financial Officer at Aegis Medical. The words hit. Hard. Immediate. And the other, Jason continued, not slowing, was a senior correspondent from the Wall Street Journal. Ryan's stomach dropped. Cold, heavy. They heard everything, Jason said. Every word, every assumption, every comment. The rain felt colder, sharper. Ryan opened his mouth. Nothing came out. They pulled out, Jason said. 3 words. Final. Aegis terminated the deal. Ryan shook his head slightly. No, barely a whisper. We were days away. Contracts were signed in principle. Jason cut in, and now they're gone. A car horn sounded somewhere behind him, distant, meaningless. They cited a misalignment of values, Jason continued. Public behavior, lack of judgment. Ryan pressed his hand against his forehead. His vision blurred slightly. I can fix this, he said quickly. I'll call them. I'll explain. You're not calling anyone. The words landed like a door slamming shut. You're not going near Aegis. You're not going near any client. Ryan's breathing shifted. Faster. Shallower. Jason, listen, this audio is online. Everything stopped. Completely. What? Someone recorded you. Ryan pulled the phone away. Opened social media. His thumb moved faster now. Not controlled. Searching. Then he saw it. A video. Black screen. Audio waveform. Title. Ryan Whitaker meltdown in first class. The numbers beneath it climbed in real time. Hundreds of thousands. Growing. Fast. He pressed play. His own voice filled his ears. Clear. Sharp. Unfiltered. No context. No framing. Just him. Every word. Every tone. Exposed. Comments flooded the screen. Calling him out. Tagging his firm. Tagging regulators. Tagging everyone. The phone trembled in his hand. Ryan, Jason's voice pulled him back. The executive committee met while you were in the air. Ryan closed his eyes. Didn't want to hear it, but he had to. You're suspended, Jason said. Effective immediately. The words came slow, measured. There will be a review, a pause. Then quieter, but you're done here. Ryan felt something collapse inside him. Not loud, not dramatic. Just gone. You cost us the deal, Jason continued. You exposed the firm. Another pause. And you made yourself a liability. Ryan swallowed. Hard. I built that firm, he said. The rain hit harder now. Or maybe he just felt it more. No, Jason replied.
You were part of it.
A pause. Now you're not. The line went dead. Ryan stood there, still. The phone lowered slowly to his side. Around him, nothing had changed. Cars moved. People passed. Rain fell. But inside, everything had shifted. He looked down, a puddle near his shoes, his reflection broken by ripples, distorted, unclear. For the first time in years, he didn't recognize the man looking back, and worse, neither did the world. Months passed, not loudly, not dramatically, quiet, heavy. Ryan sat in a small office in Newark. The air felt stale, thick with the smell of burnt coffee and cheap plastic. A flickering screen in front of him, slow, unreliable. His suit didn't fit the same. Off the rack, stiff, uncomfortable. Gone was the precision, the weight, the authority. Whitaker. The voice came sharp from the doorway, his manager. Arms crossed, impatient. You planning on working today? Ryan straightened slightly. Working, he said. Controlled. Then move, the man snapped. You're behind on calls. The door slammed. Ryan blinked once. Twice. Then reached for the headset. Adjusted it. The spreadsheet in front of him listed names, numbers, balances overdue, people he was supposed to call, people he was supposed to pressure. He hovered over the first number. His finger paused, then pressed. The line rang. A voice answered, tired, strained. Hello. Ryan opened his mouth. The script came out, automatic, detached. This is Ryan calling regarding your overdue account. He listened. The person on the other end explained, struggled, apologized. The details blurred, but something felt different. This time, he heard it. Really heard it. The hesitation, the strain, the quiet shame. Ryan closed his eyes briefly, then spoke. Still firm, still controlled, but softer. The call ended. He moved to the next. And the next. Hours passed, voices blended, stories repeated, and somewhere in between something shifted. Not everything, not all at once, but enough to feel it, the weight of words. The impact of tone, the cost of assumptions. Outside, the world kept moving. Deals were made, names were replaced, his name faded, not erased, but changed, a warning, a quiet example. Back in London, in a glass room high above the city, Evelyn Carter stood at the head of a long table. Executives listened, silent, focused. She spoke calmly, clearly, no raised voice. No performance, just truth. Policies changed. Standards enforced, not through noise, through action, through consequence, through respect. Back in Newark, the phone rang again. Ryan reached for it, answered, spoke, listened, moved on, one call at a time, no audience, No power, no illusion, just reality and the slow work of understanding it, because respect had never been something he could buy. Power had never been something he truly owned, and dignity, once lost, didn't return on demand. It had to be rebuilt, quietly, piece by piece. Ryan adjusted his headset, looked at the next number, and kept going, because now there was nothing else left to do. If this story stayed with you, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share 3 simple words in the comments like, stay humble always.